Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a really fascinating story from the old Pāli texts from Sāvatthī.
That's right. It's about a man named Maṭṭhakuṇḍali and his father, Adinnapubbaka, who was, well, known for being incredibly ungenerous.
And our mission really is to unpack this, to
Yeah.
see what insights are hidden in this tale of, stinginess, loss, and then this sudden spiritual turn.
Exactly. It's quite a journey. We'll be looking at bits from the Maṭṭhakuṇḍali Vatthu. That's the Pāli text itself. It gives us the story, plus some useful definitions, too.
Okay, so let's start with the father, Adinnapubbaka. What's the deal with him? Rich Brahmin, yes.
Very wealthy, yes, in Sāvatthī. But his defining trait, he never gave anything to anyone. The text is really blunt about it.
Why?
And that's actually where his name comes from. Adinnapubbaka sort of means never given before.
His name literally comes from never giving things away.
Pretty much. It tells you how deep-seated this was for him.
Okay, and he has a son, Maṭṭhakuṇḍali, described as his beloved, pleasing, only child. You'd think having a son might, crack that shell a bit.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But no. His stinginess, it seems, extended even to his own son. There's this story about the son's earrings.
Ah, yes, the earrings.
Adinnapubbaka wanted his son to have earrings, but he couldn't stand the idea of paying a goldsmith. The fee, the bhatavetana.
So what did he do?
He hammered out the gold himself. Just basic, plain gold rings, not exactly finely crafted.
Plain earrings, Maṭṭhakuṇḍali.
Exactly, Maṭṭhakuṇḍali. And the text says, because of this, his son became known as Maṭṭhakuṇḍali, he of the plain earrings.
Unbelievable, the lengths he'd go to just to save a bit of coin, even on his own son's appearance.
Yeah, it really sets the scene, doesn't it? Shows you his priorities. And this sort of foreshadows the more tragic stuff later.
Right, so later on, when Maṭṭhakuṇḍali is 16, he gets sick.
Mm-hmm. Jaundice.
Paichoroga, the text calls it.
Yeah.
And this is where the father's wealth and his extreme frugality really clash, because the mother obviously wants to get help. She pleads with him, right? Your son is sick, get him cured.
She does, just a normal parental reaction. But Adinnapubbaka, his first thought is the cost, the fees.
He actually says that. Worries about the Dana Chasheda, the, cutting off of his wealth.
He does. It's shocking, really. He basically accuses her of not thinking about the money. His child is seriously ill, and he's worried about the expense.
Wow, so his wealth is more important than his son's life, essentially.
It seems that way. The wife asks, well, what are you going to do then?
And his answer?
Whatever way my loss of wealth does not occur, in that way I will do. Cold. Calculating.
So how does he try to fix this without spending money?
Well, his solution is something else. He goes around to different physicians, asks them what medicines they use for jaundice.
You're kidding.
Nope. Then he tries to make the remedies himself at home, based on what they told him.
DIY ancient Indian medicine to avoid doctor's fees. It's almost resourceful in a terrible, terrible way.
Resourceful isn't quite the word I'd use. Irresponsible, maybe? Cruel.
Yeah, definitely cruel. And the result? Predictable, I guess.
Completely predictable. The son just gets worse. The text says he reached a state where he was incurable. Adinnapubbaka upagami. Too far gone.
Oh, man. So the father's penny pinching directly leads to his son becoming untreatable.
It seems so. Only then, when the boy is clearly dying, does Adinnapubbaka finally, reluctantly call a doctor.
About time. Maybe a moment of clarity. Love finally winning out.
You'd hope. But even then, it's complicated. The first doctor he calls says he's busy, got another engagement, tells him to call someone else.
Huh. Do you think maybe the doctors knew his reputation? This guy never pays.
The text doesn't say explicitly, but you have to wonder. It's certainly plausible. His reputation might have preceded him.
And then comes the final, just awful act of stinginess.
Right. Adinnapubbaka realizes his son is dying, and people might come to the house. His main concern.
Let me guess. Not his son's comfort.
Not primarily, no. He's worried visitors will see his wealth inside the house, his Sāvatthī.
So what does he do?
He has his dying son moved outside, on to the outer veranda, the Bahia Linde, just left there to lie down.
Moved him outside to die so neighbors wouldn't see his gold. That's beyond words. Poor kid. Alone on the porch.
It really shows how utterly consumed he was by his greed, even at the very end. But this moment, this location, it becomes pivotal.
Right, because this is when the Buddha becomes aware of the situation.
Exactly. In the early morning, the Buddha surveys the world with his Buddha eye, the Buddhakakuna.
And his net of wisdom, the Nyecchajala, which covers, what, 10,000 world systems?
Dasahasakava, yes. A vast awareness. And in that awareness, Maṭṭhakuṇḍali appears, lying there on the veranda.
And the Buddha sees something specific,
Yeah.
an opportunity.
Yes. He sees that if Maṭṭhakuṇḍali, right at the moment of death, can have just one clear positive thought towards him, towards the Buddha, then it could lead to an incredibly fortunate rebirth. It really emphasizes the power of the mind, especially at that crucial time.
And the text even describes this potential rebirth.
Oh, yes, very vividly. Rebirth in Tāvatiṃsa heaven, in a huge golden mansion, a Kanakavimana spanning 30 yojanas.
30 yojanas? That's enormous.
Huge, and attended by 1,000 celestial nymphs, a Charsahasa a truly blissful existence.
Wow, quite the contrast to dying alone on a porch because your dad was cheap.
A stark contrast. The Buddha also foresees the father, Adinnapubbaka, mourning later at the charnel ground, the Athana, weeping.
But maybe not entirely out of grief for his son. Maybe grief for the cost or the lost inheritance.
The implication is perhaps his grief isn't purely selfless, yes. But here's where it gets really interesting. Maṭṭhakuṇḍali dies.
And is reborn.
Instantly. As that diva's son in the golden mansion. And he immediately understands. He sees his past life, sees his father's actions, and knows his amazing rebirth is because of that one positive thought towards the Buddha.
So he gets it. Cause and effect.
Yeah. Right away. And then he looks down and sees his father weeping at the charnel ground. And he knows why his father's weeping, probably more about the lost money, the hassle.
And he decides to do something about it.
Yes. In a really clever move, he decides to teach his father a lesson. He manifests himself in his old human form, looking exactly like Maṭṭhakuṇḍali.
Appears near the charnel ground.
Exactly. And he starts weeping loudly.
So the father sees him, sees his supposedly dead son weeping. Must have been quite a shock.
You can imagine. Adinnapubbaka goes up to him, asks, "Who are you? Why are you crying?"
And what does the diva, disguised as his son, say?
He comes up with this brilliant story. He says he's heartbroken because he has this amazing golden chariot, but it's missing its wheels. The Kakayuga.
A golden chariot with no wheels.
Okay.
Playing on the father's materialism.
Absolutely. And Adinnapubbaka completely falls for it. He doesn't see the metaphor at all. He just thinks materially.
So offers to help.
Offers to make him new wheels.
Right.
Gold, jewels, iron, silver, whatever he wants. Typical Adinnapubbaka trying to fix it with stuff.
Still missing the point entirely.
Completely. But the Deva then says, "Oh no, those wheels won't do. The wheels I need for my golden chariot are the sun and the moon."
The sun and the moon. Okay, now that's impossible.
Exactly. That's the whole point. He says only then would his chariot be beautiful.
And the father's reaction to that.
He thinks the Deva is utterly mad, crazy. He tells him he's foolish for wanting the impossible, says he'll probably die from frustration.
Oh, the irony. Accusing someone else of foolish longing.
Delicious irony, isn't it? But the Deva uses this moment perfectly. He turns it right back on the father.
How?
He asks him, "Okay, who's really the fool here? Me weeping for something I can actually see the sun and moon? They come back every day. Or you weeping for someone who's dead and gone, completely invisible."
Oof, that's sharp.
Yeah.
Hitting him right where it hurts his own irrational grief.
It lands. The text says Adinnapubbaka has this sudden realization. He says, "You speak the truth. I am the greater fool."
He admits it.
Admits it fully. Compares himself to a child crying for the moon, finally sees the futility of his grief, maybe the emptiness of his attachments.
And that breaks the spell. The sorrow lifts.
It does. He's free from that sorrow. And he praises the Deva, who he still thinks is maybe just a wise being, and declares right then and there, "I'm taking refuge."
Refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. A complete turnaround.
A total transformation, triggered by this very clever, compassionate intervention.
And does the diva offer more guidance?
Yes. He doesn't just leave it there. He tells the Brahmin, "Okay, taking refuge is good. Now you need to practice." He urges him to keep the 5 precepts.
The basic ethical guidelines. No killing.
Pakatipada
No stealing.
Adinadana Varaman,
No sexual misconduct.
Kamisamichakara Varaman,
No lying.
Musavada Varaman,
And no intoxicants.
Suramaraya Majapamada Varama, the core foundation for ethical living.
And the Brahmin accepts this, recites them.
He does, fully embraces this new path. It's quite remarkable given where he started.
From extreme miser to taking precepts. What else does the diva advise?
2 more things, he tells him. Be generous now. Offer alms. And listen to the Dhamma. Learn more. Ask the Buddha questions. Deepen your understanding.
Good practical advice.
Very. And having delivered this message, set the father on a new course. The diva disappears.
Leaving Adinnapubbaka there, presumably quite stunned, but changed.
Definitely changed, because what does he do next? He goes straight home and invites the Buddha and the entire monastic community for a meal the next day.
No way. Adinnapubbaka, offering a feast.
Yes. Can you believe the shift? He then goes to the monastery, the vihara, respectfully makes the invitation in person.
And the Buddha accepts.
The Buddha, seeing his genuine change of heart, accepts the invitation.
Wow. What a story arc. From peak stinginess causing death to a divine intervention using a kind of metaphorical trick, leading to total transformation and generosity.
It really covers a lot of ground, doesn't it?
So wrapping this up, what are the big takeaways from this deep dive for us?
Well, first, it's a stark warning about stinginess, isn't it? How attachment to wealth can just poison everything, relationships, judgment, even basic human decency. Adinnapubbaka's greed literally cost his son his life.
Yeah, that's crystal clear.
Yeah.
And second,
the power of the mind, especially at death. That single moment of positive thought Maṭṭhakuṇḍali had directed towards the Buddha had such massive karmic consequences. It's a reminder of how important our mental state is.
even a fleeting moment.
Even a fleeting moment, yes. And finally, I think it shows the potential for transformation through wisdom. Even someone seemingly hopelessly stuck, like Adinnapubbaka, can change radically when confronted with truth, with Dhamma.
When they see beyond their own limited view.
Exactly, when that limited view is skillfully challenged.
Which leads us to a final thought for you listening. Think about those golden chariots with missing wheels in our own lives. You know, the things we get fixated on, grieve over, maybe material things, maybe status, maybe just worries. Things that might actually be distracting us from what truly matters.
Like Adinnapubbaka wanting impossible wheels or grieving for the wrong reasons. Are we sometimes crying for the sun and moon, metaphorically speaking, while missing the point of our own lives?
What attachments or fears might be blinding us? What are we clinging to? It's definitely something worth pondering. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.